You know, we are asking the court to overturn Roe v. Wade, and it's time. It's been nearly 50 years. The reality is this is a rule of law question. It's time to return it to the states because abortion policymaking should rest with the elected legislators and elected governors to make those decisions on behalf of the people, because that's what they're elected to do. That's the will of the people.
Mississippi's Attorney General here on this story the day before her state defended its 15-week abortion ban at the Supreme Court, the case triggering the stunning leak of a draft opinion that would topple Roe v. Wade potentially after almost half a century as the law of the land. The court confirms the document is real, it's authentic, but says it is not the final opinion. It was written in February, and it's expected to come out at the end of June. Politico reporting, quote, received a copy of the draft opinion from a person familiar with the court's proceedings in this Mississippi case, along with other details supporting the authenticity of the document. So with that, we bring in Mississippi Attorney General Lynn Fitch, who brought this case. She joins me now. Good to see you, Attorney General. So what was your personal reaction? Because this is so much, you have worked so long and hard on this. When you learned, I assume you learned last night when the rest of us did, I don't know, maybe you can tell me if you learned before, that this Alito opinion had been leaked.
Well, great to see you too, Martha. Thank you for having me on. Yes, I learned last night, as did my team. You know, this is appalling. Appalling that an institution like the United States Supreme Court, that there's a breach of trust that happens. Certainly we are mindful of the justices, mindful of the opinion that will come down in a final form, and we'll certainly be anticipating and waiting for the final opinion. But it's such an egregious act to have someone who is in a trusted capacity to walk out of the United States Supreme Court with a precedent opinion like this.
So do you think that there have been some discussion that perhaps Justice Roberts wanted a more narrow opinion, that he didn't want to overturn Roe v. Wade? He wanted to rule on the case in Mississippi and whether or not the 15-week ban on abortions after 15 weeks was constitutional. Do you think there's any way that that's the way this ends up going?
Well, I think certainly we're going to allow the court to speak to this. But remember that as soon as the argument occurred on December the 1st, fear, that was all that was said in from the other side. They began fear discussions from the moment they argued all the way through. So they've tried to bully our court. They particularly bullied the Chief Justice. They have gone after the echo chamber of let's pack the court or let's criminalize women who get abortions. So again, I think this is another push on the fear component. And they are, again, pushing very hard. And it's a retread of the same arguments that they've made over and over again.
So based on what you see in your own state legislature and similar state legislatures, because we hear a lot of people saying this means the end of abortion in America. Is that the case? So your legislature passed a 15-week ban, meaning that after 15 weeks of pregnancy, which is deep in after 4 months basically, there would be a ban. You couldn't select an abortion after that time. Do you think that that is what will hold in Mississippi, or will Mississippi voters in the legislature go further and ban it altogether?
Well, they possibly could, but remember, the whole nexus of our argument was a rule of law question. That this should always be returned to the states. Every state should make a decision on how they would like to handle their abortion policy-making issues. Again, it is a rule of law question, and they can each decide on their legislators. If they're not happy with them, then they can certainly remove them by the ballot box. We know that it'll be different in every state, Martha, that some states will codify abortion. Some will put in stricter regulations. Certainly, that's going to be an issue as we see, but that's democracy at work. And we anticipate that will happen in each state. But again, our argument as well as the rule of law was always about the mission of empowering women and promoting life.
Okay. The case in Mississippi is Dobbs versus Jackson Women's Health, and it is whether or not it will uphold a ban after 15 weeks of pregnancy. Lynn Fitch, Attorney General in Mississippi. Thank you very much, Lynn. Good to see you again.
Thank you. Great to see you too.